Hi, I'm Jeff Richards. Welcome to Japan Today Spotlight. In most countries, when someone quits their job, they simply talk to their boss and hand in their notice. In Japan, that can be a different story. Why go through the stress of quitting when you can hire someone to do it for you? Enter Taishoku Daiko, literally translated as resignation agency. These businesses act on your behalf, contacting your employer and managing all the paperwork and correspondence. This will sever your ties with your company. No need to even tell your boss beforehand. You just leave and let the agency handle it. There are now about a dozen agencies in Japan offering these particular services, and business is booming. It's a uniquely Japanese story. In this week's episode of Japan Today Spotlight, we'll explore what these agencies actually do, why they've gained so much popularity here in Japan, and what people are saying about them. April 1st is the start of the fiscal year in Japan, and it's not unusual on that day each year to see thousands of fresh graduates all dressed in black suits heading to their new companies. Their first day on the job for perhaps the rest of their lives. By the end of the day, though, a few of them have already had enough and are ready to quit for various reasons, which we'll look at later. Of course, not everyone quits after just one day. Some stick it out for longer, maybe even forever, even though they're unhappy at work. Let's rewind a little bit. In post-war Japan, most people stayed with their company for life. Japan's much vaunted lifetime employment system was in its heyday, and this helped make the country into an economic powerhouse. People who job hopped were often viewed as quitters, and that was considered shameful. But when the economic bubble burst in the early 1990s, so did that lifetime employment system, along with all of its benefits. Fast forward, and now changing jobs is much more common, with no stigma attached to it. In fact, at the moment, it's a job seeker's market. Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare reports that for every 100 job seekers in February, there were 124 job openings. It's safe to say that new graduates now have many more options than ever before. This shift has been a long time coming. Japan's work culture is still very rigid and very hierarchical. It's almost refreshing to see people starting to assert themselves and exercise their right to change. For young employees, quitting can be daunting. The idea of facing a boss to hand in a resignation, especially in Japan's corporate culture, is enough to make anyone uncomfortable. You run the risk of being yelled at by a supervisor, given a guilt trip about quitting, and even pressured into staying. That's where resignation agencies come in. These services will communicate your decision to quit your company, relieving you of the unpleasant task. Some agencies, like Momuri, Exit Incorporated, and Guardian, help thousands of people leave their jobs without any fuss. In fact, Momuri, a play on words for the expression mo muri, it's impossible, or I can't stand it any longer, has acted as a proxy for over 20,000 resignations. The other agencies claim they have helped as many as 10,000 people resign from their jobs with minimal hassle. The process is simple. You fill out a resignation form online, and within minutes, you'll get an automated reply followed by a more personal response within a day. And just like that, you're free. You don't even have to go back to your workplace. I have to admit, at first I just didn't get this concept. How far are we willing to go to avoid uncomfortable situations? Is the convenience worth the cost? While quitting on the first day is rare, it does happen. For example, Momori reported that on April 1st, they had 4 requests from employees wanting to quit by lunchtime. Common complaints included mismatched job roles and unappealing orientations. But most employees wait longer before pulling the trigger. Momori shared some of these reasons why employees typically choose to quit. Now, these are Japanese, so I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I was suspicious of the management. There was a lot of miscommunication is one. The job didn't match the interview promise. I was expected to do overtime without pay. These reasons seem pretty familiar to anyone who's ever been employed here in Japan. It doesn't shock me that employees are turning to these agencies when their expectations are shattered on their first job, on the first day. Under Japanese labor law, employees, of course, have the right to quit, but that doesn't stop some employers from reacting poorly. Many bosses, especially those born and raised in the Showa era, that's 1926 to 1989, struggle to understand why younger workers want to quit or question their authority. Employers' reactions to resignation agencies can be exasperating. Agency reps say they're often met with confusion first, followed by concerns about things like company laptops and confidential data that's left on them. One employer shared his experience with Shukan Jitsuwa. You get approached by someone from a resignation service saying they represent a young employee who is quitting. The employee then uses paid leave to avoid coming back. We can't force them to stay, so we're left with no choice but to accept it. There's something deeply unsettling about this power dynamic, isn't there? It feels like just another system of control. Employees are just expected to conform, and as soon as they step out of line, it's a problem. No engagement, no asking what the employer could do to help maybe change their mind. Now, hiring a resignation agency doesn't come cheap. Momori charges 12,000 yen for part-time workers and 22,000 yen for regular employees. That's about $80 to $150 US. With prices rising if the situation gets complicated. Guardian offers a membership model for 24,800 yen, allowing clients to quit more than once in a certain period of time. I'm not sure about that one. Serial job quitters, I guess. Interestingly, though, employees have even used resignation agencies to quit their resignation agencies. One Momori employee used a rival service to resign from their position. The reaction to these resignation agencies has been mixed online. Some see these services as a necessary evil, with one commenter stating, if you quit right away, you seem like a quitter, but if you stay at a bad company for years, you seem like an idiot. Older generations, especially those who have been loyal to their companies for decades, view quitting as a sign of weakness. Others, however, support the younger generation's decision, with some even stating, if more people quit like that, then maybe companies will stop lying about their work environment. And young people get it. This is the new speed of business. Lawyers urge caution, though. They say you might get a message from the resignation agency telling you that negotiations have become bogged down and that they need to charge you more. Hiring a proxy to quit a job might seem strange to some, but in Japan, the desire to avoid embarrassment or shame runs deep. It's not just limited to quitting jobs. Proxies are available for everything, from driving you home after a night of drinking to filling in for you at a wedding. You can even hire fake company managers to give eloquent speeches at your wedding, extra wedding guests, funeral attendees, or someone to provide an alibi for those who have cheated or are working in the sex industry. Where there's a need, you can be sure someone will set up a business to make some money from it. But at what point does convenience begin to undermine personal accountability? Resignation agencies might seem like a strange solution, but they reflect a shift in Japan's very rigid work culture. As uncomfortable as it is, maybe these agencies are making it a little bit easier for employees, especially younger people, to assert their independence and escape toxic work environments. I've kind of come around in my opinions on them in researching this story. The shift seems to reflect a broader change in how people approach work, both in Japan and potentially around the world. Is this a uniquely Japanese situation? Or is it happening elsewhere? If it isn't, I may just have a business opportunity for you. From the Japan Today newsroom here in Tokyo, I'm Jeff Richards. See me next time.